What in the world happened here? Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that Electrumite button so you guys don't miss out more. What do you want me to tell you about this card? This card moves to 3-in-1 format. All of a sudden you've got people in the TCG going, yeah, this is time that we bring this card back, because it's really doing nothing at this point in time to really warrant a major discussion about this. But, you know, when you've got players actually, and I kind of agree with you kind of at this point, that the more that we've left this card alone with time, it just kind of feels like natural power creep has done its job. Why are we moving it to 3-in-1 format, but yet we're scared of allowing this card to move in other sectors of the game? This is where, you know, we have our dear old ban list bias, which kind of prevents us from thinking with more of a clear head in a lot of these situations. And it's kind of annoying to see those biases actually being rendered into a reality. Yeah, I know, it's kind of stupid at this point. So I guess at this point in time, if you think that Electrumite is a card that will eventually come back, because all things eventually should rotate on these lists. It's kind of felt like that's supposed to be the thing. And I will say it genuinely does feel like the era of pendulums has definitely slipped away. I understand that Electrumite is definitely one of the strongest components that you can kind of toss into this deck and have it be working as a card, but at this point, I think it's crazy that we're not actually pushing for this to actually come back. So at this point, people, I'd keep an eye on Electrumite, strictly just because that recent move really does interest some of this community for future involvements, for sure. And then we have Tri-Brigade cards. So over the weekend, so many Tri-Brigade variants topped. Now, you're probably asking yourself, wait a minute, what do you mean Tri-Brigade variants are topping? Robbie, we just saw the Snatchy go to 1. Like, the deck is dead. No, it is actually now the furthest thing from being dead. I am actually more mesmerized by these builds that are coming up abusing Fractal, actually. And also, I mean, this is also your tie-in here to Lunalights, because I saw a good couple of lists also over the weekend for Lunalight that were showing up playing multiple Fractal at this point. So now the Tri-Brigade package is carrying how many different variants underneath the portfolio? It's a lot, man. It's a lot more than I want to admit should be running around right now. There's also your case in point here that even putting Yummy Snatchy to 1 does not actually stop this deck from progressing any further in the game plan, which is an incredibly crazy thought here, because we have looked at how much Tri-Brigade Yummy and Yummy in general has just ran around in the course of the format, and now you're telling me once again that Tri-Brigade and Yummy in general is still a viable strategy. Yeah, I know, Duelist. Trust me. I thought Yummy was pretty much gonna, go down the, the rabbit hole of being dead. But no, the deck still has enough gas still within it to do its thing. So if you think Yummy Snatchy going to 1 was enough to end this deck's existence, nope, we were wrong. Just like Malice. You guys remember we saw Malice topping next play. That's now 2 decks that we had completely, taken off the list because of it. It's still doing its thing. Cosmic Blazar Dragon. This one shouldn't be too shocking to you to hear, because one, we've talked a lot about Elven Notes on this channel. We've seen that, deck make big synchro monster, deck do it pretty consistently, everything work out very nicely, everybody happy, we continue to move along with said deck. It's all fun and games, but this all comes down to one, the only versions of the card available on the market are what? A QCR, the Dusa, and then the common version. Common versions are honestly flowing about $1 to $2, about $2.30, $2.40 after shipping, depending on if you're picking one up. But the card is pretty much turned into one of those boss monsters that you're just like, oh yeah, this card is incredibly good for what it actually is and what it actually does at this point. Granted, some builds need 2 Cosmic Blazer. So you can get really creative. If you're playing like anything with like a Centurion build-in package into Elven Notes, you can play other things beyond 1 Cosmic Blazer Dragon. But the thing is, the minute that second comes down, typically it's enough to usually end the game in your favor. So that's kind of like where you choose to even play the second in the first place, is because once you do get that big blowout situation together, it usually does a pretty good job at ending the game. So yeah, I do think, obviously, over like something like the Red Nova Dragon, the other level 12 monster, I've seen some builds choose to play the other big monsters, but I don't necessarily think it's necessarily worth it to think about. So I do kind of like that a little bit. It's a little bit more unique in flavor, for sure, if you're choosing to play the red, but go with the Cosmic. Magical Musketeers. So Musketeers have been doing pretty gosh darn well in Japan. I have seen a good couple lists because the new Magical Musketeer Link 2 and Dipsy Archfiend are hilarious together. Now, I've already talked about Dipsy Archfiend. I think the card is hilarious. I think the interactions that it brings to the table are some of the funniest that we've seen. Who would have thought that a garbage card like Dipsy Archfiend suddenly having a discard extension capabilities actually would turn into a real situation? Well, that's actually what we've gotten our hands on to right now. So, I gotta give it to Dipsy. Now, for the Magical Musketeer stuff, most of the Magical Musketeer armament of cards is not really going to cost you too much. I actually think that's kind of the advantage to wanting to pick this stuff up, because you look and you see, oh, hey, cheap cards, this is not necessarily a problem. I can pick up the deck and we kind of go from there. You just have to wait, how long for the Link 2 to actually come out. My only worry is by the time the Link 2 comes out, we might be facing some power creep. It's kind of how it kind of works at this point. We get new stuff and like, ooh, shiny. And then it's like, you got to wait like a year, 2 years for it. So I'm hoping that Konami does kind of speed up that process so that, when we're talking about Magical Musketeers all the way back here at the end of the year, that you have that opportunity to actually pick those cards up and actually get in there incredibly early, because I think that would be kind of nice. You actually see, the rest of the end of the Light Fiend era actually doing things here. So I think it would be kind of a nice little thing here to see. So I think Magical Musketeer has been doing absolutely wonderfully. And the last thing we're going to touch on here is White Forest stuff. White Forest stuff kind of continues to do the same little uptick that it's been doing for the QCR department. Actually, Silvera's look like they got wiped out a day or so ago. And then, of course, it looks like we're also seeing the uptick on Diabel. And actually, I just came from locals. There were, out of 9 people, there were 3 White Forest players. And it wasn't even a Genesis format. I was very much shifting my eyes around going, it secretly is just White Forest a deck that people want to see, be good. Because, like, I've seen that deck play, and like Droll Lockbird is like the natural check to that deck. I feel like sometimes that you kind of look at that and you're like, this is a little bit worrisome that we're kind of letting these little changes kind of run around. So I don't know. I wanted to talk about that because it feels a little interesting to see the uptick in the White Forest cards actually kind of turning into this point in time with the meta. I don't know. We'll wait and see, guys. Maybe, we're not going to get any White Forest support, I feel like, for a very long time, because that door has been shut, unless, we get, like, something special for it, or, like, I don't even know what they could do at this point. So, with that being said, yeah, that's what in the world's happened here this week. Ban list inspiration and current trends in the OCG are actually driving our expectations right now. You guys have a good rest of your day, all right? Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.